grow all the clams, food. First, it starts with a small test tube of food like this. And after that, we put it in bigger and bigger containers until it reaches this size. Okay, I am at Southern Cross Sea Farms, and this is where we grow clams on a farm. And first, I'm going to go into the lab and tell how the food is grown, which is algae. The clams feed off the algae. First, we put the algae into test tubes like this and wait for it to multiply until it's very dark and there's lots of algae in the test tube. After that, we take a small sample of that, put it into buckets like this. And these buckets are clear at first until the algae starts multiplying in it, and the algae keeps multiplying, and so we have a lot more algae. And so after that, we take it, and once it gets dark like this, lots of algae in it, take it, and we put it in a container like this, big container like this, and we wait for it to get real dark again, lots of algae, and then we put it in a big container, like that, big 550 gallon container. And it gets real dark in these, right here, and then they pump it into clam farm, and it grows, it feeds the clam feed.
This tank right now is being filled up with river water. And if the salinity is too low in the river, what I'll do is I'll salt it up, because the algae that I grow likes the salt to be about 18 parts per thousand or better. So what we do is, if this water's been filtered, it goes through a very sophisticated filtration system, and ultraviolet light system, activated charcoal, sand filters, cartridge filters. That's a 1 micron filter bag up at the top, and we want the water to be as pure as we can. So what we'll do, after this tank is filled, we'll bleach the water, and we'll kill everything that's in the water. We want to start off with totally sterile water. Then we'll put a neutralizing agent in to take the bleach out of the water. And once the neutralizing agent takes all the bleach out, we'll take one of the 5-gallon carboys that you saw inside, and we'll put it in, we'll dump it in this tank. And then we'll start with only the algae cells that we want to grow in that tank. We'll add nutrients to the water, and we'll keep subjecting it to the light so that the algae keeps growing. And when it gets darker, it'll get to about this color. When it gets this color in about 4 days, either we'll inoculate a bigger container outside with the same process, or we'll feed it to the very juvenile clams. You can see the bigger tanks outside.
How many gallons are the tanks? How many gallons are there?
This tank here is about 70 gallons. So what we'll do is we'll take this tank, and this water is chlorinating right now. We'll dechlorinate this water, add nutrients to the water, and then we'll take this 60-70 gallons, and we'll add to this tank, which is about 400 gallons. And in about 4 days, it'll be dark enough to feed to juvenile clams.
Okay.
What I'm doing here is I'm getting ready to spawn these clams. These are my brood stock. These are the moms and dads of all the baby clams, the clams that they're going to produce. And what I've done is I've fed these clams, I've kept them in a very controlled environment at a very specific temperature, so that instead of devoting all the food to growing, what they've done is they've developed the eggs. It's just the natural biology of the clam that at a certain temperature they'll grow from all the food they're eating, and at other temperatures they'll develop all their eggs. So I've fed these clams for about 2 months to make sure that the eggs are developed properly. Now what I'm doing is I'm monitoring the water temperature here, and I cycle them. I run them from a cool water to a warm water, and I try and trick the clams into thinking that it's a season change and that it's time for them to spawn. Right now they've just been put on this table, and they're on a cool cycle. Generally, when I put them on a warm cycle, after 2 or 3 cycles, they'll spawn and they'll spit the eggs out. After the eggs are spawned in the clams, what I do is I'll check them under a microscope to make sure that they've been fertilized by male sperm. And then I'll put them up in these larvae tanks. And I might put 15 to 20 million small larvae in one of these tanks. Every 2 days they have to come down, and they have to have a bath. They have to have their water changed because of the metabolic waste that's built up in the tanks. And they have to be constantly fed. Because if they go without food for a matter of hours, they'll die at this point. What I'm doing here is I'm draining this tank down. These animals right now are 8 days old. And at this point, there's probably about 20 million larvae in this tank. And what I'm doing is I'm running the water out of the tank, and the clams are getting trapped on this screen, and then the water is being drained off back into the river. And once the water is all out of this tank, I'll take these clams, larvae, and I'll put them in this tank. I'll give them fresh food, and they'll live in here for 2 more days, and then the process will be done again, where the water will be changed and they're constantly being fed. Once they get, after about 10 to 14 days, instead of being actually swimming in the water column, they develop a foot, and they fall out of the water column, they settle to the bottom of the tank, and then they're put on screens in the tanks like this. And what the clams are doing are sitting on the screens. The water is pouring into these containers. The only way the water can escape is to run through the screens, so that there's a constant exchange of water with food brought to the clams so that they'll keep growing. When the clams get a little bit bigger, all you have to do is bring river water in, and they'll take the food out of the river water. I don't have to grow food for them anymore. And they're about 1.5 millimeters at this point in their life. They're probably 2 months old at this point. And this water is just coming in from the river. It's not filtered at all. The water's brought past the clams that are laying in trays, and they take the food out of the water. You can see there's an awful lot of clams there. Every one of those is a live clam. And they'll get bigger and bigger depending on how the food is. And you can see these clams are a little more mature. These clams are about 3 weeks ahead of the clams that were over there. They're bigger there. You can start to see that they're clams now.
Yeah.
And what we're looking to do is to get them out of these trays and out into the river. And what we do is we wait until they get big enough, a little bit bigger than that, and then we can put them in bags. We'll go down to this tray. When they get to about this size...
How big are they there about?
These are about 8 millimeters. What we're doing here is we'll take them and we'll put them inside a bag. And we'll put about 15,000 of these clams in a bag. And they'll stay in the bags until they get about twice this size. Then I take them out of this bag and I put them in a final grow out bag. And I'll put about 1,200 clams in one of those bags. And they'll stay in those bags for about a year. And after a year, they'll grow up to be about that size. And that's the final process.
All right. Thank you.